7.
It's again a clear start, so it's lead 7. And we see by the start of them, it's lane 5 winning the race. Benjamin Azamati of Ghana seems to be the first at the finish line, number 29. We're waiting for the official photo finish results.
Ed ecco qui sul maxi schermo il protagonista di questa batteria numero 7, anche con gli highlights per il Sudafrica, Michael Van Mick, 10 e 29 ufficiosi.
So now we have the official results of heat 7, and for the finish says that it's Frederick Warway for the Republic of South Africa winning in the race with stand 129.
E sul maxi schermo i risultati della settima e ultima batteria dei 100 metri con la conferma della vittoria di Van Wyk, Sudafrica 10 e 29. Aggiornamento dalla pedana del giavellotto, in pedana per il Giappone in questo momento Haruka Kitaguchi, 54 e 25, miglior lancio per lei, quarta posizione nella classifica parziale del gruppo B. Gran bel lancio per la giapponese Kitaguchi, vicinissima alla fettuccia di qualificazione diretta nei 59 metri e sicuramente andrà in seconda posizione in questo gruppo B. Vediamo il risultato ufficiale per la giapponese, 57 metri e 91 e balza al secondo posto. Ricordiamo che Reka Silacci per l'Ungheria al primo lancio ha già colto la qualificazione diretta lanciando a 59 metri e 16.
So when it's showing through qualification group B is getting close to the finish. We have one automatic qualifier. It's Reka Silacci of Hungary with 59.16. Haruka Kitaguchi drove the result in the third round, 57.91.
Attenzione alla pedana del salto in alto, c'è Eugenio Meloni a 2 metri e 10. Ancora qualche istante e poi sarà pedana per Eugenio Meloni a 2 metri e 10. E c'è anche con l'applauso del San Paolo.
It was a very good jump at 210 for the Italian jumper. And we seems to be finishing the qualification in javelin throw women group B. Quite soon we'll see the summary of two groups and we will know who will go to the final. to advance with women's 100 meters first round. And the start line heat 1 out of 8. And the qualification system is 2 best from each heat plus 8 best time qualifiers.
Batteria numero 1, 100 metri donne, round di qualificazione, si passano alle semifinali le prime due di ciascuna batteria più gli 8 migliori tempi di ripescaggio. Nella batteria 1 in corsia numero 4 Stella a capo per la Francia, 11 e 28 miglior accredito.
On your marks.
这边是这样，是边是。
Safe.
Now it's a clear start. There are 6 athletes in the race. The qualification is 2 plus 8. So for definitely leading the race and going into it. So Stella Acaqua of France winning the race, the first heat.
E batteria numero 1 che va a Stella a capo, Francia, 11 e 61 ufficiosi.
And now we'll have the official results on the scoreboard. It's heat 1, women's 100 meters first round. Stella Acaqua, France, 11:60.
E sul maxi schermo i risultati della batteria 1 con Stella a capo, Francia 11 e 60 e Jessica Bianca Westoley, Germania 11 e 66 per la qualificazione diretta. Diretta a 6 metri e 50 per la finale a 12, i migliori accrediti il 6 e 64 di Marte Koala e il 6 metri e 55 di Zizi El Chogdangu.
Well, 5 days into the summer Universiade, I think it's time for some athletics to hit the track and the field here inside the magnificent San Paolo Stadium. And on the 60th birthday of the summer Universiade, what better place here than the home of Italian football in the south to play host to some of the best student athletes in the world. Well, tonight we have two finals coming up. The 10,000 meters for women will dominate the track in around about 3/4 of an hour, but we get underway first of all with the final. The big men are out. The men's shot put, alongside me is John Trower, who is champing at the bit to introduce you to these big men.
Well, it's a great opportunity for these large men of the athletic track and field group of events to come out and express their skills in the confines of the circle. They were a little late coming out. There were some delays on some earlier heats of qualifying races, and I don't know why that affected them coming out late, but it has. And the temperature is 28, humidity high at 85%, and the big men won't like that. They like the heat, but they won't like the humidity, because they'll need to take on a lot of fluids to keep hydrated in the conditions, even though it's now coming into a nice balmy evening of the Naples sunset.
Yeah, there's not much wind around tonight, but any wind there is slightly going up the home straight, which has not been great so far for those in the sprints. It's long distance tonight and the shot put that will dominate us.
Yeah, we have something to look forward to. We have a 5th in the world rankings this year, the Polish young man, 22-year-old Konrad Bukowiecki, who has put 22 meters indoors earlier on this year, but has a personal best of 21.97 this year, which does put him in that 5th place in the world ranking so far. So we've got some real talent and some real expertise. And he, of course, won a silver in the Universiade 2 years ago, so he'll be burning with desire to get that gold tonight.
Well, we have 100 meters as well. We had the preliminary rounds this morning. And we are into the first round proper now in the evening.
So the race is on. Estes obviously clearly lane 3 trying to get track and win, but now it's lane 7 with race 6. Tamsin Thomas of the Republic of South Africa. Preliminary time 11:57.
Batteria numero 2 con il crono ufficioso di 11:57 per Tamsin Thomas, Sudafrica. Eccolo sul maxi schermo anche l'highlights della batteria numero 2.
So as the shot putters get ready to move into the actual competition, as we thought, we may be slightly behind the original start time, but that we got plenty of time in the stadium here tonight, and they can catch up. There's 12 come into this final from the morning's qualifying rounds. There was some interesting things that were happening this morning. The German man Bayer was initially not in the final 12. He appealed against his first attempt, which actually was a personal best of 1995, and they remeasured, obviously studied the footage from the video analysis, and found that the red flag that he had been given was actually rescinded. So Bayer came in, and the original 12th position went out to 13th. So it's a harsh game, this athletics world.
Well, the heats are going on for the women's 100 meters, but we will see that later on in the week, the semi-finals and the final, of course. It's just the preliminary rounds at the moment. Our concentration, though, will be on the two finals. Field events often gets ignored at major championships, but we're going to bring you pretty much the whole lot of the shot put tonight. And that will be the case as well throughout the week for the other field events as well, the discus, the hammer, javelin. The heptathlon will get special place as well tomorrow when we come on air in the morning, or the decathlon tomorrow. And then 2 days after that will be the heptathlon. In the shot put, Francisco Bello won this title 2 years ago. But the man who was second is the man who is the big favourite today, Konrad Bukiewski from Poland, who has been at major championships and has been taking on the big boys, the likes of Michał Haratik and David Stahl as well, the prolific German.
Yeah, 2 years ago, the Polish boy was 8th in the World Championship. So he's 22, so that was when he was quite a young 20-year-old. And we can now go over to the shot put area and see the big men and some of the judges explaining what they're going to be looking for. Of course, I've been watching them warm up, and all 12 are spinners. So we have a traditional shift where they go from the back of the circle across to the front just by dissecting the circle in half. And then we got the spinners who start with both feet at the back and rotate around their left leg if they're right-handed. And we've got two lefties in the competition as well, so they'll go around their right leg. And of course, what happens is at the front of the circle, we'll see this throughout the evening competition. The recovery foot, as it goes around to stop the rotation, so they go round on themselves, does go over the top of the rim. And of course, if you touch the top of the rim, you can block against it, but if you touch the top of the rim, it's a no put. And of course, officials have got to be eagle-eyed. They've got to be really attentive to pick up on the foul throws. And Bayer this morning proved that he, and if you appeal, you have to stay in the circle to ask for it to be measured. If you come out of the circle before they've measured it, it will be a no throw, and you'll not have your throw in your bag.
We saw something similar as well in the discus with Frederick Dakers of Jamaica, who he insisted as well that he hadn't fouled and stayed in the circle, and in the end got the decision and got the world-leading discus throw as a result.
Yeah. And of course, you've got the technology here now. There's cameras watching this event, and officials are only human, and it's like umpires and referees. It's easy to make mistakes. So it looks like the big men of the track and field program are going to be introduced to the attending crowd, and we'll just listen in to see the prime beef being introduced. And you can see the guys have got towels on their neck. I know how it feels. I've got a towel around my neck, sitting here in the humidity of around 84%. And you can see also shot putters come in all shapes and sizes. The spinning rotation style of throwing does allow for the shorter, very explosive athlete to mix it with the German huge man there, you can see. So we do get, they used to be really big, you know, 6'5" plus, but now we've got some spinners who come in and rotate and are fast. And as long as they can control their feet at the end of the delivery and stay in the circle and not foul that front stopboard, you know, these guys can actually put a long way with the speed they deliver. So yeah, a motley crew, all shapes and sizes. We ought to line them up perhaps with the tallest one side and the shortest the other side, like they do in gymnastics, but that's not going to happen.
Well, number one in the world this year is Ryan Krauser. There's shot put is very competitive these days. Tom Walsh, who was the top man for the last 2 or 3 championships, but this season has just dropped behind a couple of the others. Michał Haratik is up there as well, and Konrad Bukiewski, he's number 5 in the world this year.
Yep, and he'll be difficult to beat if he's on his A game. He qualified with 1 attempt on his first throw this morning, so he just had one. We used to call it boots off or shoes off. You get in the first one, you're off you go, you take it out of the area, and you can get in the coolness of the air-conditioned back of the stadium area. But if you got 3 puts to qualify, which 1 or 2 of these guys did, then you're out in that heat from this morning. So they would have been asleep, probably napping this afternoon, to get the recovery done, rehydrate, and then get back out. So here we have Liskovic of USA. He'll be first up.
Goes to the University of Michigan.
Then we have Galaza Munzer, who's also world ranked. You know, he's in the top top 20 with his best performance this year, so he'll be pushing the Polish boy quite hard. Yeah, so Ballantyne of New Zealand. So, you know, we mentioned the New Zealanders. They got some pedigree now. So people come in behind it on the interest of the sport. And of course, Valerie, the New Zealand lady who won shot put world championships many times. So there's the first German. Yeah, Zimmerman. He's Man Mountain. He's probably around 6'7". And he's standing next to the Irish dual passport man from the USA, who's competing for Ireland, and that's Favors Jr. South African, Van Rooyen.
In starting position 8, number 529, the person to watch.
And here we have 5th ranked in the world this year, Konrad Bukovici, who's 5th ranked with 21.97 and qualified on his first attempt this morning. Next up will be Simon Bayer of Germany, who I've already suggested qualified having had 3 no-throws and was originally out on the first set of results that came out, but then was put back in on appeal. Yeah, Venancio of Brazil. And then we have Toda of Romania. And then to wrap up the 12, we'll have Mohamed Maggi of Egypt to finish the 12 throws. They all get 3 attempts. It'll come down to 8. They'll reverse the order, and then for the last round, they'll reverse the order if there's been any changes in rounds 4 and 5. So pretty relaxed bunch and ready to roll.
I think the Egyptian has lost his kit. Seems to be just wearing a vest.
He probably got wet in warm-up, you know. He probably sweated it out of it. So there we have those world record marks shown on the screen in the graphics. And the first gentleman into the ring will be Andrew Liskovic of the USA, 22-year-old with a personal best of 21.15, and he set that on the 26th of July. So he's potentially a man in form. It's always good to have a couple of good recorded throws that are either knee or best or our personal best. So off he is. Start of the competition, men's shot put. Well, it's nice and controlled. That's just over that 18-meter line. So he'll be hoping for more than that. The best of 21.15. And we can see he's a spinner. Didn't really get any purchase at the front of the socket. You want that, for the right-hander, you want that left foot to dig into that stop at the front of the, that wooden stop at the front of the circle. And he got a flat flight on that. And it comes down to ground early. 16-pound ball. Fits snugly into these big men's hands and nestled into their necks. So second up in this first round is Gallardo Munoz of Mexico. 23-year-old, 20 meters 86. Whilst Liskovic does some serious reflection on his first attempt.
Always a lot of pressure on the Americans. They have such a rich history in this sport with the likes of Adam Nelson, Randy Barnes, and of course the likes of the modern day giants as well.
And of course, Adam Nelson was a fantastic proponent of the spinning technique. When he first came in, he was one of the first that started that particular new style of throwing in the shot put out, and was incredibly successful because he was only 5'11", 6 foot at most, just under 6 foot, which in terms of shot put throwing is quite small. So you can see how the officials operate here. If they're going to stop you going into for your attempt, they'll put that red cone in there. You'll see that the name comes up, your name comes up as a thrower, and you know from the moment it comes up on the screen that theoretically you have 1 minute to execute your performance. If you go outside that, then it'll be no throw. You get a red flag, whether you've taken it or not.
Bit of a delay at the moment on the next thrower, but this title has been shared around in the last few years. Portugal won it last time out. India won it with Indrajit Singh in 2015, before the Russian Alexander Lesnoy won it in Kazan on home soil in 2013, and O'Dwayne Richards of Jamaica back in 2011. So it's certainly gone around the world, this title.
Yeah, I think at the Universiade it's a sort of event where you're going to get those who are hoping to make a breakthrough, or you get the younger men having the opportunity to avoid the mature big men of the shot-putting society, and it will go around. You get some good shot putters across the world, and they may well move into other sports. You know, they may move into American football. It could be rugby union. It could be all sorts of sports where it, you know, it's beneficial to have a certainly large mass. But anyway, Munoz, the Mexican, is going for his first attempt in this men's final of the shot. So again, just falls short, just over that 18-meter line. You'll see all sorts of gesticulations when they come out the circle. Just about stays in on his rotational there. You can see holds that shot, that ball into the neck, and again doesn't really get an efficient block. 18.51. So with the best of 2086 this year, he'll be a little disappointed that 2 meters down nearly. So next in is the Italian. This is Bianchetto of Italy. Well, he wins the prize for the best shout so far, and that's out close to the 20-meter line. So he'll be very pleased with that. He's got a best of 2017 this year. He threw that on the 21st of July, so again showing recent form. But you can see that left foot, that blocking foot, just seemed to stay on that stop board just that fraction longer. Lets the hip get engaged in the throw. Good strike. Just went a fraction higher, it would have gone further, but that's got a lot of force on it. 19.57, and he takes an early lead in this men's shot put final. So this is Ryan Ballantyne of New Zealand. Best of 1912, the 20-year-old. Great opportunity for this young Kiwi. And that 18-meter line is getting a bit of a peppering so far. So you can see from the body language as he walks away from the circle, a puffing of the cheeks, a pouting of the lips, and you can just say that you can see the hand coming underneath the delivery, just there, no real purchase to allow that hip to get engaged into the effort, and he's just literally putting that with the top half of his body, despite the spin. He's not really used it efficiently in that effort.
And the power just lacking in there. It came out of the fingers a little bit, so he lost the power in that as well.
Yeah, it hurts your finger. I've seen fingers broken in this event when you don't quite time it right. So the tallest man in the competition comes in, Christian Zimmermann from Germany. He is 25-year-old, so he's one of the oldest members of the competition tonight. Well, actually, I correct myself. He's 25 tomorrow, so he's 24 and 364 days. So we're wishing him happy birthday. Wouldn't it be great if he got a medal on the day before his birthday? What a celebration that would be tonight. So he's got a best of 1991 this year, and that was set in July too, so the 8th of July. So for a big man, it's usually that we have the shift, this movement, this linear movement across the circle. But he's a rotator, he's a spinner, and he's a big man. So he's got to fit that bulk from the back of the circle to the front, and not go out. And the forces involved in that rotational movement from the start to the middle to the end are quite enormous. So he's got to be really clever on his feet in lots of different ways.
And this is the problem for the really tall men, to be able to get that speed in the spin. They've been more suited to sort of the Werner Günther type traditional linear moving across the circle, and that's why it's almost an advantage to be a shorter man. It's not just it's good for the shorter man; it's actually advantageous.
You fit in. It fits the shorter thrower perfectly. But it's all about levers. It's all about levers, and it's all about the kinetic chain from the floor to the hand. So you've got to turn the foot out, you've got to engage the knee, you've got to strike with the hip and keep the hand and the position so that it's just like a whiplash at the end.
And let's not forget as well, this is quite an individual event insofar as they represent their universities, but also you get a spread of ages as well that you wouldn't get in perhaps the European under-23s, which start up in a few days' time. And indeed the Junior World Championships, where you know you're going to be up against athletes who are more or less at the same development as you, whereas here, as you say, with this guy who's 25 tomorrow, he's already had quite a lot of his career behind him.
Yeah, and there's another 25-year-old in the competition, so the age range is actually 20 to 25 in this competition. So you've got the Kiwi who's 20, and then you've got the German who's 25 tomorrow. So there have been some slight delays with the mechanism that measured the distances.
A little bit earlier there was a few problems as well with the starting pistol in the 400-meter hurdles as well. So day one, just getting a few gremlins out of the system.
So we're ready to go now. So this is Christian Zimmermann of Germany, 25-year-old tomorrow. And you can see that he's just got to control his speed. There's no way he can rotate like somebody who's 6 inches, 7 inches shorter than he is. But of course, what he has got is a high platform to release this 16-pound ball from. So you can see he stands up there, and it's easy. Hand goes through that shot. So good use of his levers. Is he going to throw further? Well, he could if he could speed it up and stay in the circle, without any doubt. So 1932, and that's a good first attempt by Zimmermann. Next up into the circle is Eric Favors Jr., who's wearing an Irish vest. So he's a lefty. You can see that left wrist strapped up with some duct tape and all sorts of other things, I guess. Now, this man is considerably shorter than the previous putter, but you can see how big and strong those legs are. Good speed, falls away on the delivery just a little bit. You can see his head go down. You've got to stand up tall in this event because you need the height, particularly if you're short. So you can see his head come down and round there. And he's got to keep the head up. He's got to keep watching the ball go from his hand because you know he's on it longer and his hip's got a bigger strike. So that's split the 18 and 20 line. So it's going to be around 19 meters, but not a bad start for the Irish boy.
You can see that he's an explosive putter, but you've got to get the control with that speed as you come across.
Yeah, you do, and you can't anticipate the delivery. You've got to wait. You've got to have speed, and you've got to have patience to wait for everything to connect. 1880, and Favors has got a mark in. He's got a best of 1920, so in terms of percentages, he's not far off his personal best. So next up into the circle will be the South African, Jason van Rooyen. Got a personal best of 1958, 22-year-old. From the University of Johannesburg.
South Africans often battling it out with the Egyptians in the African Championships.
Well, he's going to be delighted with that because that has had the best height on its delivery. You can say sometimes it's got snow on it when it goes too high. It's never going to have snow in Naples, but in terms of the delivery, he got that and nailed that and got every ounce of the rotation into the throw, and he dissects the circle with the putt. You can see here, foot into that board. Good control at the end, stands up and punches his hands in delight. Good putt by the South African, Van Rooyen.
Now again, there was a clear start.
So 1953 for Jason van Rooyen, and just below, 5 seconds below his personal best of 1958.
Second place behind Bianchetti of Italy.
So, world number 5 comes into the circle. Here he goes, first attempt. Well, he fell off it. He didn't really nail it at the front. You can see him lose his balance to back into the circle, but he is a man mounted, and the strength and control to get out of that just fell back on it. You could see him falling back towards the centre of the circle. Now to go 22 metres, he's got to go out the front of the circle and chase it and stay in. But his hands go up, he knows he's over 20 metres, and he would like to think that that may be enough. 20.63, and it may well be. What we need now is one or two of the pack to chase it and make him work for his medal.
He's a definite favourite of the final tonight. He knows how
So,
to win the medals at the
next
moment.
up, Simon Bayer. This could be the man. He got in through challenge to a no-throw, 1995. Personal best. What a way to do that. Here he goes. Short and fast. Just misses it. You can hear the expression of disgust. So he'll know there's more in the tank for that. You can just see he falls back on himself, just not as much as the pole, but he's not as big as the Polish thrower. So you'll see him put his arms down. Body language tells you 18.95. He's a metre less than what he qualified with this morning. But it'll probably be enough for him to get through to the top 8, but he'll want more than that. So Venancio says, come on. Isn't it funny that the British come on seems to spread itself around the world, but he just needs to come on. The other left-hander in the competition. Wow, just short of 20 metres. So he's got a best of 20.22. He's the other 25, the real 25-year-old. The German's 1 day short of that birthday age. Good position of the ball in the neck. Stays tight. Head stays in control too. You can see he almost looks at it as it goes out of his hand. Straight down the centre of the sector. And he goes 19.78. Good start for the Brazilian. Next up for his first attempt in this shot put final is Toda, Andrei Toda of Romania, 22-year-old.
And we see that in the high jump, it's the first attempt at 220. It's the previous qualified time to the
well short of the 18 metres, just missing it in his strike and losing control. No real power. You can see him falling out. May well have found to the left of the circle. You have to stay within the circle, and you have to take your body out of the rear of the circle. You can see the left foot there. Red flag goes up. And when you get a legal throw, you have to come at the back of the circle. You have to remove yourself at the rear of the circle, otherwise it's a no throw. So to wrap up the first round, the Egyptian Magdi. And we'll just wait for that to come up before we get into the second round.
So that at the end of the first round, Konrad Bukowiecki has the early lead. Expected that he would get that with 20 meters 63. William Venancio of Brazil through that 19 meters 73. Which has him in the silver medal position at the moment. Third place to the Italian, the early leader, Sebastiano Bianchetti, 19 meters 57.
And Magdi goes out to conclude that first round with 19 meters 12. So we got one or two over the 19 meter line. That's good. So first man in for the second throw is Andrew Liskovic of the USA. Very tidy and very close to that 20 meter line. So that'll be well past his first round attempt. And he was tighter in terms of the control of his body. You can see good rotation. Can't see the split of the circle on that with the emphasis on the upper body, but good finish. You can see where the energy's gone, that the recovery is easy. So it means that the power has gone in. So 19 meters 70, so considerable improvement for the American.
Up into third place with that.
Yeah, you can jump places. You know, when people are throwing 19, 20, 18, 19, 20 meters, you go up 1.5 meters, you're going to be threatening some medals here. So in for his second attempt is Munoz of Mexico.
Clear start for the race, 8 athletes. And against the clear lead, lane 3.
Well, it had a lot of height, didn't have not a lot of penetration though for the height, so it almost sacrificed the in part of this throw and went up too soon. So you've got to really drive into the front with that right hip driving the left leg into the block. And you can see he's just twitching there, a little bit like throwers do after the event, to demonstrate perhaps how he could have and should have done it.
Mentre nel gruppo B ancora in attesa per i 2 metri e 20, no, chiedo scusa.
So 1954, it's better than his first one, but the first one was a bit of a disaster if we're honest. So he's back on track and he's now contesting for those top 8 places, which is very important indeed. So the Italian comes in for his second attempt. Bianchetti of Italy. Now that's got some serious penetration, I would suggest. Got a bit of height, but he also got the in part, and you can see driving against that block. Down the left-hand side of the sector slightly, which is good because the hip is taking it there. So he'll be pleased with that because that's close to 20 meters. Got a personal best of 2017. 1981, he's creeping up. So Ballantyne from New Zealand, youngest man in the competition at 20, 18-14 on his first attempt. So Ballantyne, New Zealand, second try. You can see just that low flight. His timing's wrong. His hip striking without a block. If he blocks, it goes up. If he doesn't block, it'll go flat. And that's exactly what's happened. So he's just in and off that front foot. And he knows, as soon as he's let go, he knows he's missed it.
Maybe you can just explain to us what the block means exactly.
Well, the block is where that left foot for the right hand that goes into the stop board and stops you so that the hip can continue rotating into the block. So the hip is where the engine is. That's where the force comes up from the foot to the knee to the hip to rotate into the block. So Zimmerman, 1932 on his first round, in for his second throw. Well, he's a big man, and the only way really he's going to connect and go further is if he can just speed it up a little bit. Not at the start of the turn, because you need to control the movement to the centre of the circle. There, and he does. But what he doesn't do, he doesn't create any width. So his right foot goes past the centre line, and he has nowhere to go. So he has no width in his delivery. And he'll only throw what he's throwing on that basis. So consistent, 19-20, he'll get into the top 8. But to go 21, he's got to get some width on that delivery strike. So the Irish boy comes in next. Favours, Junior. The left-hander. Well, it's a slight improvement, I think. If not, it's around the same. But again, you can see he's falling away. So he's under 19 meters on his first attempt. So his second attempt is going to be around the same. Might be slightly better. It's a no throw. His foot comes out the front. You can see there, no control on the recovery. Out he goes.
And of course, it's important to get into the top 8 as well, because if you don't get into the top 8, then you won't carry on.
And now you're cut, you're out. You've got to get top 8. 12 competitors, top 8 is where you've got to get, and then you've got 3 more attempts. So Van Rooyen follows up that good attempt on the first round, and no throw. So 1953, still up there, vying for certainly the top 8, and that, you know, if he can get it together and go closer to 20, who's to say he won't be in the medal game? And he'll go over, because the coaches now can come down and have a chat with you. I'm a great believer in letting the athletes sort themselves out on the day. So this is the man, the Polish Man Mountain, 5th in the world this year, 21.97, 22 meters indoors. So he is a very talented shot putter, and he won't like that one, so we won't actually comment. I think he's crying. No, only joking. I think he wants to cry. So 20.63 still leads the competition, but you want to forget that one.
Looks a little bit in pain.
Well, the interesting thing is with the spinners is that if you miss it, you really do miss it, and it looks horrible, so we'll forgive him. Simon Bayer, 18.95 first round, second putt. So Bayer, who had the anxiety associated with having to appeal this morning and then get 19.95 to come second in the qualifying overall in terms of distance, but he no puts. So Venancio of Brazil. He's in the ring for his second attempt, 1973 on his first. Well, it's a good putt again, and despite the fact he fell away, his hip got on it for a good strike at the front of the circle there. So you just see that slight delay between the left foot, the right foot going into the stopboard there, and then the hand striking, and he rotates around and stops. That's a good putt. Good control for a big man, good speed. 1976, slightly better, improved by 3 centimeters. And he's just saying he needs to go higher. It can't go high if you put the head down, so keep your head up, son, and you never know what might happen.
Well, he's put himself in third place, a little safer with that one. He's 6 centimeters ahead of the American Liskovitz at the moment, who has 19 meters 70 after his second round. We're getting a few foul throws now in this second round as they try to go a little bit further, give it a little bit extra than they have done in that first round, where a lot of them were trying to get just a legal throw in.
Yeah, and there's two ways of looking at it. When I was coaching back league, we always played on getting the first one out there to frighten the hell out of everybody, and it very often worked. But if you're not confident and you're not sure and your systems aren't functioning, or you've got anxiety, whatever it may be, to get one is a good strategy. And then on the second round, go for it. And like you're suggesting, Angus, you know, once you turn up the gas, then things are going to happen either positively but more likely negatively, in the sense they can't control it at the front where the delivery is, and they'll go out the front of the circle. So we're coming to the end of the round. We have, well, it looks like Toda has missed his go, because we got the Egyptian who concludes the round, Magdi, coming in for his second attempt. He's a little cumbersome across the circle, but he's a big man with a lot of mass, and that means it's a no throw, because they're walking away and they're not going to measure it, and he's walking. But the mass means it's difficult for him to generate the power, but he's got force, he has mass. So big men can put the shot a long way if they have the skill. And you can see at the front of the circle, he's lost his balance and he's gone.
And this is the other thing they've got to do as well. They've got to watch out they don't twist something when they go over the board like that.
Well, we got the start of the third round. And Liskovitz, who's close to putting it out of the sector. We'll see how close it is here. Going just down the left-hand side. He's got his hip on that, stood up, and that's over 20 meters. That's going to be threatening the pole. And you can see the body language, how different it is when you've struck one. And he definitely got hold of that one. 2017, so new personal best. Oh, sorry, no, 21.15. So I'm looking at 2015, but 21.15 is his personal best. So the American is very capable. And he moves up into second position comfortably. Munoz of Brazil. Below the 20-meter line, cements his position over that 19-meter line. But Munoz is a 20-meter 36 thrower, so the 23-year-old has been over 20 meters 3 times this year, so he's actually quite consistent too. He's got heavy strapping around that left knee, you know, that blocking leg. And the joint does get a bit of a hammering, particularly if you miss it and the rotation doesn't go smoothly into the shot. and you sort of crashing up. He said, I'm just tightening up. I need to relax and extend and use my levers in the way that I need to use them.
This is the pressure round, of course, because after this round, if you're not in the top 8, you're out.
Yeah, you make the cut now, so you're pushing to try and get, and they'll all know where they are in terms of positions for the top 8.
The man who's in trouble at the moment, incidentally, is Simon Baer of Germany in 9th.
Yeah, he looks the sort of man that rises to the pressure, though. He's small, he's very athletic, and he'll only have to get hold of one and he'll go over 20 metres. So we'll keep an eye on him, because I think after his little traumas this morning in qualifying, I think he'd be wanting to try and prove a point. So another slight delay.
Don't forget, we're 5 minutes away from the 10,000 metres as well, so we'll have both these finals on at the same time. The big men and the little women.
Yeah, absolutely, it'll be a bit of a challenge. You know. We'll be fighting over the mics here. So, it looks like they're ready to go. So Munoz now has to sit and sweat, literally, in this humidity. He'll be doing that quite comfortably. But he's had his 3rd attempt, no throw. Oh, no, sorry, 1946, so actually it was a legitimate attempt. And now we go into Bianchetti, who's 1981 on its 2nd putt. So can he get over that 20-metre line? That's what the Italian crowd want. They want a 20-metre plus thrower tonight. Well, he's sneaking closer to the line, but I don't think he stayed in, and the body language gives it away. Head down, lean forward, pick up your towels, and that white cross in the red box, no throw.
Suffered from a head down in the throw as well. It was a pretty low trajectory from the Italian.
Controlling that rotational energy is absolutely fundamental. So we can see here, very quick at the back of the circle, and almost too fast. And the left foot, this is how they practice. So I used to watch the shot putters practice a lot, and they go out a lot. So this is Ballantyne of New Zealand, and he's just struggling. So the 20-year-old, great experience, and that's the beauty of the Universiade. You know, you can come to world games with world competitors and just teeth yourself against the best in the world as you've got it here. So the 20-year-old will take valuable experiences away here, the Kiwi.
And let's not forget as well that you do have world-class athletes up against others who are just students, and they will go on to great things, but in different fields.
Yeah, the mix, you know, the ethos, the mix between sporting excellence and academic excellence is a fantastic sort of philosophy to have, and we have to applaud the Universiade for being as proactive as they are in both areas.
Well, we are getting ready then for the women's 10,000 metres. So often on the world level, it's Ethiopia and Kenya who dominate proceedings. It's not often, though, that we have an Ethiopian in the World University Games. So it'll be very interesting this evening to find out there how Akash Kinetibeb will get on. As you can see them coming on. Very, very humid. It is dropping off, though, now. The temperature is just beginning to go down, which will make it a little bit more comfortable for them. This competition hasn't always had the biggest stars, although I go back to the last time that the Universiade was in Italy, the summer version, that is, in Sicily, back in 1997, with a certain Dina Drossen came through, now Dina Castor. She came through to take the title on the Mediterranean island. She went on, of course, to get an Olympic bronze medal in Athens in the marathon. A real legend of American distance running. There is an American absence in this race, though, unfortunately. We've got plenty of nations represented. There are a lot of Americans here. We saw a lot of Americans in the Universiade last time out when the University of Houston came to Chinese Taipei, led by Carl Lewis, the assistant coach, and Leroy Burrell. It was a pretty impressive coaching platform they had.
And Group B, a very good jump from Marina Benko-Manchuko, Ukraine 6:49, had been the best in the first round. Evelista Maresh of Portugal 6:36, and Regis Hall from 6:17.
E tra qualche istante pronti a vivere altra grande emozione, altra grande finale per Napoli 2019 con i 10.000 femminili.
Title went to Dara Maslova of Kyrgyzstan last time out. She won it 33-19-27, which is a fairly typical time for this title to be won in over the years.
And there's one final in short put.
Russia has taken this title as well as Japan, Turkey. Japan have a very strong distance fraternity, especially in marathon. They love their distance running. They've had Olympic champions, world champions over the marathon. You'll have the half marathon coming up later in the week as well. No full marathon at the World University Games. This event, though, we have two Japanese, two Australians, a couple of Canadians as well, one British athlete, a couple of Chinese as well. The Chinese also pretty strong as well in this event, although you have to go back a while to find anybody who's taken a title in the 10,000 meters. Almazayana, the world record holder at the moment, in that incredible time that she set at the Rio Olympic Games just 3 years ago. Universiade record was set back in Duisburg in 1989 by the Romanian Viorica Aplaja. That's the Ugandan. Knight Asiru. That is the full lineup for you then, with Jenny Nesbitt from Great Britain, Masuki Sakeya of Japan. Fastest in the field is Sakeya from Japan. Goes to the Daito Bunku University in Tokyo, where she's studying social sciences. But watch out too for Zhang Deshun, the Chinese, who's 23 years old, just a year older than Sakeya. She has a personal best of 32:12 set this year, so like the Japanese, they're improving in 2019 all the time. Mexican Maria de Jesus Ruiz Acuña picks up her number, just 20 years old, with a personal best that's outside 33.5 minutes. She goes to a university that is halfway between Monterrey and Guadalajara in Mexico. Laura Dickinson, one of the two Canadians who is in this race. Just 19 years old. This is her only event at Naples. Goes to Syracuse University in New York State in the USA, which is not that far away from Lake Ontario. Has been to the World Junior Championships as well last year. There's Rosa Cunha. Rosa Cunha, 20 years old, but when she would be unlikely to really, I think, challenge for the podium. She's got the 9th fastest time in the field on the season list. It's Jenny Nesbitt from the University of Bath. World University Games, she finished 5th in just outside 34 minutes. She has been getting quicker since then, though. Isabel Bat-Doyle, who was at the Universiade last time out as well. Goes to the University of Washington in Seattle on the western seaboard, just down from Vancouver. Big improvement since 2017, where she was 7th in this final in her first major international championships. She was 34:32 back then. She's now nearly 2 minutes faster than that now. Hannah Miller of New Zealand, 21 years old, goes to the Methodist University in Dallas, Southern Methodist University. She was 15th in the 5,000 meters last time out in Taipei. now going for the longer distance, the Oceania champion at both the 1,500 and 5,000 metres. There is Zhang Deshun, watch out for her. Second fastest in the field, the 10,000 metre Asian Games bronze medalist from last year. Back door there, and Jia, the other Chinese, 21 years old, who goes to the Tsinghua University that is on the outskirts of Beijing. She did go to the World Cross Country Championships this year, where she finished a long way behind the magnificent run by Helena Beery, who became the first woman to win the senior world titles indoors, outdoors, and at cross country. The World Championships, of course, coming up, run by the IAAF in October this year, which is very late indeed. Oh, a false start. Embarrassment on the inside from the Chinese. Well, I can't say that I've seen a false start in the 10,000 metres very often.
I have to say, fast twitch hardly ever associated with the 10,000 metres.
On your marks. Stand up.
Ancora qualche istante per la partenza di questa finale dei 10.000 donne.
Well, once again, we're having a few problems with the gun. This is something that happened in the very first heat of the 400-metre hurdles for women as we went on the afternoon session earlier.
On your marks.
They didn't manage to get a time there. It took 10 minutes, but we are ready now.
Stand up.
We are not ready now. Well, usually it's the women who are under pressure at the beginning of the race, but the starter here now beginning to feel the heat as well.
On your marks.
So then away we go then. 15 women all up against each other to see who will take the title over from Dara Maslova from Kyrgyzstan, who won this event 2 years ago in Chinese Taipei. She got the bronze in the 5,000 2 years before that, but upgraded to the gold medal in the Far East. Temperature back then was very similar to now, except for the fact that it was an almighty storm that hit the island right at the beginning of that event. Literally a typhoon that was up the coast, the remnants of it hit us. And the interesting thing here as well at the beginning of this event is that the clouds, for the first time since we arrived here in Napoli, have come over, and this is going to be very welcome indeed for these runners, which will just keep them cool through this 25-lap race. Well, at the moment, going in front is the Ugandan Knight Asiru, who goes to the Ndeja University in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Kampala, of course, was the place that hosted the World Cross Country Championships. Not this year, but 2 years ago. And Uganda tasted victory in the men's event in Aarhus this year. Ugandan distance running has been having a little bit of a renaissance over the last few years. We're beginning to find runners who can take on the Kenyans and the Ethiopians, and it's not been easy for them. They're a country that have had success in the Commonwealth Games in the past, but in the World Championships and the Olympic Games, they have had to play second fiddle or even third fiddle to their East African neighbours. The back door there in the colours of Australia, white, green and gold in third place at the moment. With the South African Cholofelo Masigu, who goes to the Tshwane University of Technology in the South African capital, Pretoria. She's going along nicely there. She is in the green, right in front of one of the Japanese runners. At the moment, there's a nice little pace-making job being taken on here by the Ugandan at the front. Siru, who is just 20 years old. She's also entered in the 5,000 metres. She's got the slowest time of anybody in this event, though, which is slightly ironic, bearing in mind she's from Uganda. But we have had Ugandans, the odd Kenyan, the odd Ethiopian as well, who has been in the World University Games. But such are the limits on finance for the African nations that it's a real achievement, to be quite honest with you, to see any of them here at all. She's going along quite nicely at the moment. The Mexican now is moving up. Ruiz Cunha, the 20-year-old, who is the 9th fastest time in the field. She could break 33.5 minutes this year. She has been getting quicker. McDougall at the moment quite content to go at the back, the 20-year-old Canadian. This is her only event. She too has yet to break 33 minutes. That she goes to the Queen's University in Kingston in Canada. She's studying civil engineering. Been to the World Junior Cross Country Championships back in 2015. Juniors race over 6 kilometres, the seniors race over 10. So that's a more useful equation when you take into account the 10,000 metres on the track. And cross country has always been a fantastic breeding ground for the great champions on the track. And one of the controversies in recent years has been the way that a lot of the nations, particularly in Europe, have rather overlooked cross country. And the cross country really does give them the strength in depth, the stamina. And the course in Aarhus was really congratulated this year for the toughness of it. It was very up and down. There wasn't any way of being able to rest at all. None of these racers were there, but certainly it was a fantastic. The Danes really put on a great show, and some even went as far as saying that it may well have rescued cross-country, because it was the first time we'd actually seen a race that actually looked like a cross-country course. So then it's still going along pretty well. Everybody happy to follow behind the Ugandan Knight Siru. There she is there at the front in the yellow. Nesbitt has moved up now, the British athlete, onto the shoulder of the leader. Zhang is also well placed as well, the Chinese athlete who was the Asian Games bronze medalist last year. She's won 5 national titles, but she's one of those athletes that does demonstrate the difference in caliber and experience that you get at the World University Games. She will be very much there or thereabouts, you would think, when we get to the sharp end of this course. Second fastest in the field, only Sakuya, the Japanese, has gone quicker, and you can see the Japanese there, the tall figure in the red vest, following on. 21 laps to go then, still very early on, and nobody will really want to sell themselves yet. I'm not sure they would have been expecting these conditions, to be quite honest with you. It's really cooled off, and the wind has got up a little bit. And they will be very grateful, I think, for that. A little bit of a problem there at the back from McDougall. Just clashing with Jia Yuyu, the 21-year-old Chinese girl who is entered in the half marathon as well. She went to the World University Games a couple of years ago, did the Chinese, and ran the half marathon, but unfortunately didn't finish it. Nesbitt, though, going well just in front of the other Chinese. It's not the quickest pace. First sign there of the Ethiopian, Akash Kinetibeb. Ethiopians, of course, their names don't work the same way as everybody else's. Their actual name is their first name, so she's Akash. Her second name is that of her father, And the third name, Menkir, is actually the name of her grandfather, and that's the way it works in Ethiopia. So when you talk about the likes of Kenenisa Bekele, Haile Gebrselassie, then you're actually talking about Haile and that's there as we go back now to the...
And to conclude the fourth round, Konrad Bukowicz of Poland goes over the 20-meter line. He holds that finger up. He's had three. He started with 20.63. He had three no-putts coming into the fourth round. Two no-putts coming into fourth round, and then he just nails this one. And this is very close to 21 meters. So he's happy with that. He's had two disasters flopping out of his hand around 18 meters. And they reverse the order in the fourth round. And the distance is just going to come up in a second or two. But the smile tells the story. 21 meters exactly for the Pole. 5th ranked in the world this year.
Yes, don't forget that he has thrown just 3 centimeters short of 22 meters this season. So he's certainly the class of the field. And we're back to the 10,000 meters. And the Japanese have made their way to the front. Rino Gashima and Nasuki Sakuya. Both of them entered in the 10,000 and the 5,000 that we'll see later in the week. And Gashima is an interesting athlete here because she's very much on the rise. She's improved her PBs across the board in 5,000, 10,000 and the half marathon in 2019. Her personal best in this event is 32 and a half minutes. Nesbitt there has just moved out and she's gone for water. And also the Canadian McDougall also moving out to grab a bottle and a sponge. The others keen just to get on with the running. Well, it's always the debate as to whether or not you take the water or not. Of course, you see this very often in marathons, half marathons. It's a fairly modern development in track running. I remember first seeing it in Osaka back in 2007, where the heat humidity was very close to now.
Munoz into the circle for his 5th attempt. He's currently residing in 5th position, but as you can see, he goes over that 20-meter line. Now, this man has been coming out after every effort and going tense. He knows he's going tense, and that's the first time tonight he's just kept his shoulders down, held his position, and you can see by the body language, 20.45. So he jumps up now, and he's in silver medal position after that 4th round attempt of Konrad Bukowicz, who threw 21 meters to cement his lead at the top of the competition. But Munoz is after him with one more attempt to go in this shot put for men. So we're staying on that for a second or two. And Bianchetti has been bumped down, so 5th round, 1979. He doesn't really change his position with that. He was in 4th, but he's been usurped by the Mexican who jumped into that silver medal position. So Liskovic, who comes after this man, Venancio, they all have a chance in this 5th round to get back up into those medal positions. Well, it's pepper in the line, but to get into the medal zone now, 3rd position held by Andrew Liskovic with 20 meters 17.
17 laps to go in the women's 10,000 meters, and not much has changed so far. We're around about 1/3 of the distance done at the moment, and really nobody has really made an effort to go. You see Sakuya there, who is probably the favourite with the fastest time in the field, is almost jogging backwards, it feels like, at the moment. She's holding herself back, just nearly trips over Nesbitt, and Nesbitt looks behind her with the New Zealander Hannah Miller there looking innocent. Hannah Miller, who was 15th last time out. She'll be looking for a big improvement there on that position she got in the 5,000 meters. She's got a 10,000 meter PB 33.23, just under this time around, that she ran at the Stanford Invitational back in the 29th of March. Of course, Stanford hosted a Diamond League meeting, whilst Eugene gets a bit of a facelift this season. Sakaya, though, at the moment in front. Nesbitt has been pretty much on the shoulder, whoever has been leading for most of this race so far. The Ethiopian looks like she's about to lose her vest.
Well, here we go into the 5th round. So this is the leader with that 21-meter putt in the 4th round. Oh, that's huge. That's huge, just like the pole man himself. He's a big man. He stood up, he put that up into the air, and it just sailed out over 21 meters. That's going to be, it's not going to get near to that 21.97 he set to put him 5th in the world rankings this year, but it certainly cemented his lead at the top of this shot put event for men tonight. So sailed over that 20-meter line that's shown by that box, and the line that goes out into the sector. That's fast. That's a great strike from the floor, and he knows it. Yeah, there you go. There's a man that's happy with his 4th round, 21 meters, and now nailed it, 21.54. Wow, what an exhibition of shot putting we're having now from the pole, who's 5th ranked in the world and silver medalist from 2 years ago. Great throwing by the Polish giant.
Well, Poland have terrific pedigree in this event in throwing. Paweł Fajdek, of course, won his 4th World University Games title in hammer last time out in Taipei. Of course, he's now graduated, so he's no longer in the field, but Bukowiecki there really throwing his hat into the ring, unlike here in the 10,000 meters, where no one really has even taken their hat off, never mind thrown it away. It's still very cagey with 15 laps to go. Now, we're not too far away from the halfway stage. 14 minutes there at 4,000 meters. So that means we are on 35-minute pace at the moment. It's a very tactical race indeed. It's funny because 10,000 meters at major championships very often or not is a little bit cagey, even when you've got world-class athletes, until we got to the Olympic Games in Rio, when Almaz Ayana decided to absolutely decimate the field and the world record as well.
E guida la classifica in questo momento per il Giappone, Natsuki Kia, 31,50 e 17 di personale per lei, l'atleta.
Speaking of Almaz Ayana, incidentally, Ayuki Suzuki, who won this title back in Kazan in 2013, she went on actually from that gold medal to finish 10th in the World Championships the year after Almaz Ayana broke that world record. And she was in Almaz's 5,000-meter semi-final at the Rio Olympics as well. Of course, Almaz was trying to break the world record in that event as well, but got usurped by the little pocket dynamo that is Vivian Chariot in that final. And many people believe that Almaz went off far too fast in the semi-final when she really didn't need to, and she had nothing left for the final. It was just too much work, and she's been injured ever since then, Almaz Ayana. Ayuki Suzuki hasn't quite gone on from the victory in Kazan to really challenge at the top end of the 10,000-meter field. Probably one of the most successful athletes was Dina Drossen of the USA, who's Dina Caster now. Did go on to medal after she took victory in Sicily in 1997, 22 years ago. Here, though, things beginning now to just get a little bit faster. It's an injection of pace at the front by the Chinese, who has finally had enough and has taken it up. Zhang Deshun, who knows that she needs to push this on, the woman who will be challenging Sakaya at the end, we think, the two fastest women in the field, and the two Japanese working together to follow her. But the Ethiopian is also going well as well, in 4th place, the young Akash Kinyatibeb. And it has to be said that even if they do finish in 35 minutes, that will still be enough for a massive personal best for the young Ethiopian. So she will be very keen to keep this going. First signs, though, of a race beginning to develop. You can see they're all the way down now to single file. Zhang Deshun leads at the moment. The two Japanese are right behind her. And at the moment, Rino Goshima, 21 years old, and Natsuki Sakiya, who's 1 year older than her, just still not challenging for the lead. They're still happy to just follow on in the wake of the Chinese athlete. Behind them, Hannah Miller, who is a veteran of World University Games, is in 4th place. There's the Canadian girl at the back still. Miller there, the tall silver fern in the silver vest, looking very comfortable. Nesbitt's about as far back as she's been in the race so far, the British athlete on the outside. The Australians haven't shown themselves so far. Isabel Bat-Doyle and her teammate behind her, who is Claire O'Brien. And again, it's just slowed up a little bit, and they've all backed off, and it will allow the others to come back. You see the Mexican Ruiz Acuña being given some encouragement to get back in with the pack after she'd lost touch after that injection of pace from the Chinese girl at the front, who is moving to the side as if she's a pacemaker. What is going on here? There she is, she's going off for the drinks. Sensible, really. Gets a sponge. I was expecting her to put it on her head, but she's just wetting and cooling off her hands. So then Miller goes in front, the Kiwi. It's her second global championships after she was 15th in the half distance, the 5,000 meters in Chinese Taipei. 2017 was a year when she really did improve. She had PBs tumbling all over the place in her first year outside New Zealand. And at the moment, she has gone in front. So the Chinese, I think, was just trying to keep the pace a little bit honest, but wasn't really making the move to try and break the others, with 11 laps to go then. 83-second lap, so we are still on a pace that's outside. Well, they've just quickened it up a bit there, because 80 seconds per lap would get you to around about 33.5 minutes by the end of this race. So they have speeded up a little bit, but you can see, though, the way they've just sort of packed up again, that the pace has disappeared once again.
But definitely
Laura Dickinson just going out to get the sponge this time, the second Canadian. Second youngest in the field, only the Ethiopian Akash Kinitebev is younger than the 19-year-old, who is in her only event, as far as we are aware, here in Naples.
So we're moving into the medal zone. So Munoz, who jumped up into silver medal, then was pushed back into bronze medal after the 5th round. And the man that pushed him back, that took the silver medal position off him, Liskovic, came back in for his 5th round attempt and took over the silver medal position again. So Munoz of Mexico takes the bronze, and now Liskovic, who improved to 20:49, has his last chance to snatch gold. He's got to improve, though, and get past 21:54, held by the pole man mountain. So can he do it? Last attempt to go. 6th-round throw by Liskovic from America. And he's out of the sector. Pressure was on. He tried to give it a little bit more juice. Lost control at the front of the circle, followed that left shoulder out, and put the officials out there in that part of the sector at a bit of risk. But what a great effort it was in the 5th round to snatch back the silver medal from Munoz, the Mexican. he went 20:45 in that fifth round, but Liskovic came back and threw 20:49. So Konrad Bukovici of Poland performing a ceremonial effort, because that 21 meters in the fourth round, then that monster throw of 21:54 in the fifth, getting close to his personal best. Here he goes. It's a big shout. It's out there again. It's over 21 meters. He raises his arms, pumps his fist, raises the finger. And what a big smile that is for the man who's fifth ranked in the world. 8th at the last World Championship. Silver medal 2 years ago in the Universiade then. But tonight, he's taken it. 21:54 in that fifth round sealed the medal, and this is just a ceremony. But what a great way to finish the competition. He had a couple of no putts in the second and third rounds. They were just off. He looked as though he might be injured, but in fact just loses his rotation. So what a sequence those last three are. 21, 21:54, the best, and then 21:39 to wrap the gold medal up in tonight's men's shot put. Great performance from a great execution of this art of shot putting. And the smile says it all. So there we have the final leg. So Konrad Bukovici of Poland takes the gold with 21:54. Silver by Andrew Joseph Liskovic, 20:49. And Munoz from Mexico, 20:45 to silver.
So the first gold medal in athletics has gone to Poland. They carry on their magnificent legacy in throwing events here. No change yet, though, in the 10,000 meters. Hannah Miller still pacing it out at the moment. Well, the Westerners, I suppose you have to say, have come to the fore. The New Zealander, the Brit Nesbitt, and the Canadian Dickinson leading at the moment. Oh, and Zhang Jiaxun, who was leading early on, she had the first injection of pace around about 5 laps ago, but has just dropped out to 5th place and nearly fell. I think she just caught the back of Nesbitt's heels, but just about managed to stay on her feet. Hannah Miller here is pumping out the laps at the moment, and she is doing very well at the moment if she can keep this going. We are heading into the last third of this race, and you still have to say they've just been feeling themselves out, really. There's no real proper attack. It's all sort of just posturing, positioning.
Far from me to comment on the women's 10,000 meters race, which is a little alien for me. They are incredibly well bunched for a race of this nature, and it won't come down to who's got the best lungs here tonight. It'll be the one that actually has got the best finishing burst. And the fascination for me, Angus, is when that person decides to go. And you can go, as far as I can remember watching these races over the year, you can go with 800 meters to go to slow burn it and improve the pace. But if you can go with it and then go in that last 70, 80, 90, 100 meters, then other people really don't have a chance if you've got the burners in you.
Well, the laps they've been pumping out are pretty consistent, pretty much around about 80 seconds per lap. If that had been since the beginning, you'd be looking at 33.5 minutes, but we'll probably be outside that because of the slow pedestrian nature of the first 12.5 laps, the first 5,000 meters. Nevertheless, Hannah Miller now trying to draw some of the kick out of the other women behind her as she now makes a concerted attempt there. Little look up. There's a big screen up in that corner of the track where she can just have a little look and see what's going on behind her, and she'll know that they are all just sitting on her shoulder, waiting. So then Jie Yu just moving up, the 21-year-old. Zango there as well, who had that little bit of a break and is now just moving back for around about 800 meters. Shot put, but the Chinese is now back up into the front three. Dropping back a little bit. sixth at the moment. Nesbitt, though, has been pretty well placed all the way through. She's never been on the curve since the start. She's always been either running in lane 2 or along that line on the edge of lane 1. She's just moving out. I think she's going to grab some water this time around. There you go. There's been a lot of water drunks at this championships. The temperature's up to the late 30s. But I do emphasise again, on this first night of athletics, the temperature has really dropped, which is great for these girls.
And not only that, but it's evident from the flags that are around the stadium that, you know, there is a slight breeze down at floor level. So at track level, they may not be feeling it because of the heat they're generating from within their bodies running this race. But there is a slight breeze to help them cool down.
So then Xia, the second Chinese, is now finding the pace a little too hot to handle, and she has dropped off the back of this pack of around about 10 girls as they come through with 5 laps to go. 2,000 metres now between them and the end of the race. Just gone through 8,000 metres in 27 minutes and 50-odd seconds. So they have just pumped it up a bit. It's going to be underneath 35 now, thanks to this injection of pace from Hannah Miller in this second half of the race. And you can see there one of the Australians now dropping off the back as well. Things just beginning to get a little more serious. It's not a real injection of pace, it's just a gradual winding up here by Hannah Miller. McDougall there, where she's been pretty much since the start of the race, clinging onto the back of the important part of the race. O'Brien there of Australia dropping off the back as well. She's the latest to get ditched. And Bat Doyle there, the other Australian, is in danger of dropping off herself. Nesbitt too now suddenly finds the pace getting a little bit too hot for her as well, and she is at the back now. That's the furthest back that the young British girl has been since the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and this is, at this stage, this is where you have to grit your teeth and you find out who are the tough competitors and the ones that have that high level of resilience despite the pressure that's coming on now. And you have to say, training backgrounds, working and training in the heat, certainly coming into this championships, you can't really train to cope with the humidity. You just have to get out there and get used to that. But in terms of the heat, you can run in heat and put yourself in a position where it's uncomfortable to do effort like this.
Well, they're just going past the Romanian Andreea Alina Piscu of Romania, who will be looking towards the half marathon now, later in the week. But it's the two women we expected to be at the front who are at the moment. It's the Chinese Zhang Deshun, who is following in the track spike marks of Natsuki Sakuya, the 22-year-old Japanese, and the 23-year-old Chinese now back at the front. But the Japanese also have Koshima as well in a good position, and the Ethiopian, I'm very impressed with her at the moment with a very slow PB. This is a very good run from her. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from her. More often than not, you have to say that the East Africans that come here to this event don't generally really star. They're not the big names. But this is a good run from the youngster from Ethiopia, who is Akash Kinetibeb. She's in 4th place at the moment.
Well, and if she's not expected to do well, then you can almost hope that she's just sitting, and she looks incredibly comfortable. I'm just looking at body posture and how they're holding themselves together at this stage of the race. And you have to say the Ethiopian looks as comfortable as any of them, to be honest.
I have to say that most comfortable with me, though, is definitely the Japanese at the front. She looks as though she's been jogging since the beginning, and nothing really has changed there. Lovely economical stride, and she is, well, she's been pretty much dictating, I think, through just choosing her tactics, to be quite honest with you. She allowed Hannah Miller to go in front after she took up the pace. We saw Zhang take up the pace a little bit just after halfway, and Zhang there just goes up onto the shoulder of Sakuya just to let her know that she's there and she's serious. Hannah Miller now, she's done her work, but unfortunately for the New Zealander, I think she now is going to be struggling. The 21-year-old who was 15th last time out in the 5,000. This is perhaps a little bit long for her.
And you have to say the Canadians looking reasonably comfortable. You know, for somebody fair-skinned like this in these sort of conditions, she's done particularly well to hold a position back there in around 5th position.
Yeah, Laura Dickinson, 19 years old as well. She ran the steeplechase in the World Junior Championships last year. So she's got some range, and now suddenly we're getting another charge. McDougall now goes round the outside. The Canadian hits the front. Inside the last 1,000 metres, and the Canadian is going for it here. Zhang is trying to go with her, and Sakaya, from being comfortable, suddenly looks a little bit stretched. Goshima right behind her as well. The Japanese trying to keep on her shirt tails, but this is a very courageous burst by McDougall. Brianna McDougall, 20 years old, goes to the Queen's University in Kingston, Canada. 33 1/4 minutes is her personal best, so this is well within her range, and at the moment she's beginning to stretch it out. Zhang has gone with her, but the two Japanese, suddenly from looking comfortable, are now working hard.
And you have to say the Canadian in the front doesn't look particularly comfortable with a head roll, but she's hanging on in there, and she's gone very early, so she's got to be worried that she doesn't get ahead here and give herself some space between second and third and fourth position, as it is with that.
The bell goes, McDougall has it, but Zhang goes past her now. The rather Paula Radcliffe type running from the Canadian is not going to help her here. Zhang goes in front, but McDougall is hanging on to her. The two Japanese at the moment fighting it out for bronze unless they can come back into it. Sakaya, who was the fastest woman in the field, is now beginning to pull back McDougall, and McDougall's brave run for a medal may be about to disappear. She's still clinging on to it, but Zhang is away. The Chinese out in front, and here comes the Japanese though, and it's going to be the second one, Goshima, who goes past. McDougall is not going to get a medal. It's a brave run from her, but unfortunately she just doesn't have the speed. It's between China and Japan though. The Far East will fight it out for gold. Zhang goes again. Zhang hits the front again. Little look up. She may well have got it. Goshima trying to hang on, but it looks as though she's not going to come back. Zhang is going to come away. And the woman we expected to be fighting it out for this first women's gold medal is indeed going to take it. China are going to take the first gold medal of the women's competition in athletics. Japan take the silver and the bronze, but the fastest woman in the field, Sakaya, will have to make do with the lowest step on the podium. It's gold though for Zhang Deshun, and that is a fantastic run from the woman who goes to the Tianjin Normal University. Well, she pushed it earlier on in the race, and then she took a big gap until the last part of the race, and then she went at the bell, and she needed to do it more than once as well. One burst was not enough. However, she needed 3 in the end, but third one was definitely enough, and she came through in the last 100 metres to win that pretty comfortably in the end. And McDougall, unfortunately for her, very brave. I admire her tactics. She didn't have the speed at the end, so she tried to draw out the sprint kick from the Chinese. It didn't quite work. Nesbitt there, the British girl, is out on her feet, as indeed are quite a few of the runners, including Sakaya there, who got the bronze. It's tough conditions, even with the sun having gone behind the clouds. I mean, it looks as though it's going to be a thunderstorm at any moment. But that was lightning on the track there from Zhang.
It was good, and it was all set up by the Canadian bravely, as you're suggesting here, going out with about 1,000 metres to go. Couldn't quite hang on, but she made the race. She actually had a go, wasn't frightened to have a go, set it up a little bit for the Chinese and the Japanese, but all credit to her for making the race, as it turned out, into a great race.
The top 3 finishers, Zhang from China.
So then confirmation of Zhang then taking the gold medal ahead of Rino Goshima of Japan, who came through to beat her more fancied Japanese teammate Natsuki Sokiya. It's a Far Eastern sweep of the medal podium. Well, we can see there Knight Asiru, or rather, excuse me, let me get this around the right way. It's the Romanian who's coming in, of course. Andrea Elina Piscu. Got lapped, but she is the last one to come home. The winning time 34.03. You can see how the second half of that race was quite a bit quicker than the first half of the race. The two Japanese celebrating, Rino Kashima and Natsuki Sakuya. Well, they got away at the beginning, and it was a pretty slow pace, even though the Ugandan took it out and led for quite a bit of that, but around about halfway she disappeared backwards and was not really seen again. Straight away, Sakuya and her Japanese teammate Kashima tried to dictate the pace, but nobody really wanted to lead in that early part of the race except for the Ugandan. Sakuya finally hit the front with Zhang in the second half of the race before McDougall went for it with around 800 metres to go, but right here on the bell was when Zhang went for it, and McDougall just didn't have the pace to go with her. But it wasn't over. She still had to beat off Kashima's challenge around that final bend, but Zhang came away to take the title. China haven't taken this title very much, so it is a real welcome title for them. Well, that turned out into a cracking race in the end. It's the last of the finals on day one. Tomorrow, though, we will see the decathlon start off with 100 metres, and that will carry on all through the day. But here, it is Zhang Deshun who has taken the first women's gold medal of the 2019 World University Games on the 60th anniversary of this magnificent event, the first of which took place in Turin in 1959. 2019 has got off to an explosive start, and we're not just talking about Vesuvius. From us, though, it's thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
And we're still waiting for the official results of 10,000 meters women final. And the final track event of tonight's session will be 3 heats in the first round of 1,500 meters for men. It's qualification round, and the formula is 3 best from each heat and 3 best time qualifiers go to the next round.